The first thing I noticed was the smell. Smoke and stale beer, the kind that seeps into your clothes and won't leave. The second thing was the blood. Not mine, thankfully, but it was close enough. A man sprawled on the cracked linoleum of the motel lobby, head turned at a weird angle, eyes staring at some invisible ceiling. And I thought, welcome back to Des Moines, Mike. This is exactly how it starts. I'm 28, bartending my nights away in a town that feels like it forgot the meaning of light. My apartment smells like fried onions and regret. But I didn't come back here for the smell or the neon flicker that makes every wall look bruised. I came back because of him. Caleb Williams. That text came yesterday. He's back. 7 years. 7 years I'd built a life pretending the past didn't exist, pretending the kid who made my life a living hell was gone for good. I told myself I'd moved on. I lied. Cedar Creek was small, the kind of town where gossip grows faster than weeds. My father still ran the hardware store, Old Man Reynolds, temper ready to boil over at the slightest insult. My mother, she left when I was 12. Not the town, just us. And me? I vanished after high school, swallowed by anonymity and cheap motel rooms. Caleb was a predator in cleats. Football captain, student council king, the kind of guy who could make you feel like air. I remember the day he cornered me behind the gym. You think you're better than me? His words were slow, deliberate. He didn't need to hit me. His voice did the work. My fists shook, but I stayed silent. You're nothing, he said. Just a ghost waiting to disappear. I did disappear. I left Cedar Creek, leaving behind my father's disappointment, my mother's absence, and the memory of Caleb's laughter etched into my skull. But now he's back. That text didn't explain where, why, or how. Just, he's back. My chest tightened. Old anger, long buried, twisted into anticipation. I wanted revenge, and I didn't even know it until the words settled in my head. I stared at my reflection in the motel mirror. Black hair falling over my forehead, eyes sharper than I remembered. I was unrecognizable, yet entirely the same. This isn't just about the past. This is about proving I never really disappeared. I opened my laptop. Social media is a dangerous thing for men like us. Pictures, tagged friends, check-ins, they all tell a story. Caleb hadn't changed much. Same smug grin, same sharp jaw. But there was something subtle, a wedding ring glinting on his finger. Smart. He'd learned to hide the edges that once made him untouchable. I exhaled, tasting the motel coffee that could choke a horse. It's not just me anymore, I thought. Every insult, every humiliation, every moment I walked away in silence. This is payback. The neon sign outside flickered, almost in rhythm with my heartbeat. I whispered under my breath, "Next time, Caleb? It's not going to be a joke." The next morning, Des Moines hit me like a punch in the gut. The air smelled like burnt rubber and cheap breakfast grease. Motel hallways echoed with the clatter of luggage and the occasional curse from someone who clearly had no business being awake this early. I poured a lukewarm coffee from a vending machine and watched the steam curl into the fluorescent light, thinking about Caleb. I had a name, a face, and a wedding ring to track. But that wasn't enough. I needed more: location, routines, weaknesses. I started small, creeping through his social media, piecing together fragments of his life. One photo at a local bar, the Rusty Nail, showed him laughing with a man I recognized from our high school days. I almost smiled, but it tasted bitter. I went to the bar that evening. The smell of stale beer and fried food filled my nostrils. Caleb was there, exactly as I imagined, the kind of smug that made you want to punch walls. I slid onto a stool a few feet away, ordered a whiskey, and watched him. His laughter was easy, careless, like nothing in the world had ever touched him. "Mike!" A voice behind me made me stiffen. I turned to see Danny, an old friend, or maybe I should say someone who remembered the kid I used to be. He hadn't changed much. Still wiry, still sharp-eyed. "Danny," I muttered. He ordered a beer and sat next to me. "You're really here," he said, nodding toward Caleb. "After all these years." "Yeah." My voice was tighter than I intended. "He's back." Danny shrugged. "Figures. That guy doesn't leave anything unfinished. You know that." I stared at Caleb again, trying to ignore the pit forming in my stomach. But watching him laugh, living his perfect life, stirred something dark inside me. I wanted to make him feel what I felt for years. Helpless, cornered, humiliated. "Danny," I said finally, voice low. "I need to know everything about him, where he goes, who he trusts, what makes him tick." Danny's eyes flickered, wary. "Careful, Mike. You're talking about going back into the lion's den. That guy, he's smart. He'll smell it." "I don't care," I said, louder than I meant. "I've waited 7 years. I've walked away from everything. And he got away with it. Not anymore." We left the bar together, walking under the flickering streetlights. Danny kept talking, filling in gaps I hadn't even thought to ask about. Caleb's divorce, his business investments, his late-night habits. Every detail was fuel. Later that night, back in my motel room, I spread printouts across the desk, sticky notes scattered like confetti. I traced routes on maps, made timelines, and tried to anticipate his moves. My hands shook, but not with fear, with anticipation. This was my chance, the first real one I'd had in years. But even as I planned, doubt crept in. Was I really ready for this? Could I go through with it without losing myself? My father's voice echoed in my head, angry and disappointed, reminding me how easily I'd run before. And yet, the memory of Caleb cornering me in high school, smirking as if my fear was his trophy, burned hotter than any doubt. I poured another whiskey, the burn a small comfort against the storm in my chest. The motel's neon sign buzzed through the blinds, casting the room in a harsh pink light. "Tomorrow," I whispered to myself. "Tomorrow it begins." And for the first time in years, I felt alive. It was late when I left the motel that night, the streets slick from a thin rain that smelled like asphalt and despair. The rusty nail had emptied hours ago, but Caleb didn't go home. Danny had told me that. He liked the night, liked to think he was untouchable in his little kingdom. I parked a block away, heart hammering in my chest. Every instinct screamed to turn around, to run back to the safety of anonymity. But another part of me, the part that had been silent for 7 years, pushed forward. Revenge doesn't wait for comfort. I saw him first as he stepped out of a cab, laughing into his phone. He didn't notice me, didn't even glance my way. I could see the confidence in his stride, the same confidence that had cornered me behind the high school gym. Only now, it was my turn to corner him. I followed him at a distance, careful not to be seen. His route was predictable. The same coffee shop, the same late-night diner, the same back alley shortcut. Each step he took, I memorized. Every detail mattered. Then suddenly he turned and our eyes met. Time slowed. His grin faltered just for a second, and I felt a thrill I hadn't felt in years. He recognized me. I ducked behind a lamppost, heart in my throat. I shouldn't have been here. This was dangerous. But danger was exactly what I craved. Danny's voice echoed in my head. "He'll smell it." He did. The way he scanned the street, the subtle narrowing of his eyes, it was almost imperceptible, but it was enough. He knew someone was watching. My stomach dropped, panic mixing with excitement. I pulled my hoodie tighter around my shoulders and kept moving, careful, silent. The rain soaked through my jeans, but I didn't care. Every step was a step closer to him, to the reckoning I'd imagined every night for years. I followed him into an abandoned warehouse he'd bought recently, supposedly for a renovation project. The place smelled of rust and rot, the kind of smell that sticks to your skin and reminds you that no matter how far you run, the past is always waiting. I crouched behind a stack of crates, listening. Caleb was on the phone, laughing again, careless, thinking no one could touch him here. I could hear the faint click of a safe in the corner. He'd hidden something, money maybe, evidence maybe, but I didn't care about that yet. I cared about the moment when I could finally speak. My phone buzzed. A message from Danny. "Mike, don't lose yourself." I stared at it, trembling. Maybe he was right. Maybe I was stepping into something I couldn't come back from. But my fists clenched, teeth grinding. Let him remember what he did to me. I stood, my shadow stretching across the concrete floor. Caleb didn't hear me approach until it was too late. Mike! His voice was sharp, disbelief lacing every syllable. You, what are you doing here? The words I'd rehearsed for years came out in a low, dangerous whisper. I'm here to make you remember. His eyes widened, fear or maybe recognition, flashing for the first time. I could feel the shift in power, the pendulum swinging back to me after all these years. And then, the warehouse door slammed behind me. Not Caleb's doing. Someone else had followed us. Panic surged through me. I realized I wasn't the only one chasing ghosts tonight. Caleb's smirk returned, unsettlingly calm. You think you can do this alone? He said. And in that moment, I understood something terrifying. Revenge wasn't just about making him suffer. It was about surviving the part of myself I had awakened. I backed up, ready for whatever came next, every nerve on fire. And I knew, without a doubt, that nothing would ever be the same again. The warehouse smelled worse than ever, a mix of rust, rain, and fear. My heart pounded in my ears. Caleb's smirk had vanished, replaced by that old predatory calm. The kind that makes you think he's already 2 steps ahead. Who else is here? I demanded, trying to keep my voice steady. Caleb didn't answer. Instead, he raised a hand toward the shadows. A figure emerged. My stomach dropped. Danny, my friend, my accomplice, or so I thought. I didn't follow you for this, Danny said, voice low, trembling. I followed you because I wanted to make sure you didn't lose yourself completely. What the hell are you talking about? I stepped forward, fists clenched. Danny shook his head. You've spent years building up this revenge, but look at you. You're not the same kid he tormented. You're obsessed. An obsession can destroy you faster than Caleb ever could. Caleb laughed then, a low, cruel sound that made my skin crawl. Look at him, Danny. All this time, running, planning, fantasizing. And now he's here, thinking he's in control. How sweet. I felt rage surge, but Danny's words lingered. I had thought I was strong, prepared, ready to make Caleb pay. But looking around the warehouse, at the crates, the shadows, at Caleb's cold, amused eyes, I realized I had walked into my own trap. You don't get it, I said, voice cracking. He made my life hell. And now, Danny cut in. Now you're standing in a dark warehouse, about to ruin everything you've worked for. Revenge isn't justice, Mike. It's a mirror. And right now, it's showing you what you've become. I froze. His words hit harder than any punch or insult Caleb ever threw. 7 years of plotting, dreaming, and fearing him had twisted me into someone I didn't recognize. Someone dangerous. Someone consumed. Caleb stepped closer, voice low. Funny thing about ghosts, Mike. They scare you the most when you realize you've been one yourself all along. I felt the fight drain out of me. Every scenario I'd imagined, every plan I'd rehearsed, suddenly seemed pointless. I could hurt him. I could humiliate him. But at what cost? My nights, my life, my very self had been spent chasing a shadow that was only powerful because I let it be. I dropped my hands. The adrenaline faded. You're right, I whispered. I lost myself a long time ago. Caleb's expression softened, just slightly, as if he understood. Or maybe he was just enjoying it. I didn't care. I turned and walked out, the warehouse door creaking shut behind me, leaving both Caleb and the shadow of my own obsession behind. Outside, the rain had stopped. The neon sign of the motel flickered weakly in the distance. I took a deep breath, tasting freedom for the first time in years. Revenge had been my goal, but survival was the lesson. Danny followed silently, no words needed. We walked back through the slick streets of Des Moines, each step lighter than the last. I didn't know what the future held, or if Caleb would ever really forgive or fear me. But I knew this. The past didn't have to define me anymore. Sometimes the hardest battles aren't with the people who hurt you, they're with the person you become while seeking justice. And tonight I'd won that battle.